Bill O'Reilly here. Welcome to the No Spin News for Tuesday, November 1st, 2022. Stand up for your country. So I hope you're participating and taking it all in on our election coverage. So I monitor a lot of this stuff because I want us to have the best election coverage. So important. I think we're out in front. Everything we've reported so far has been fact-based. And we're going to take names and keep in score. And next Wednesday, after the vote is tabulated, we're going to have some, and it could be me. I'm the one that could get it if what I'm saying does not turn out to be true. So we have a week left, as everybody knows. And people who watch and listen to the No Spin News, I don't have to tell you to go vote. You're going to vote. I mean, you're the elite in the sense that you care about your country and the world. You watch me and listen to me because you know we give you a far better product than the networks and cables do. And that's true. And anybody who denies that is out of their blanket mind because it's not even close. The gap, the separation gap, but what we have, okay, and what they do. So I think we'll prove it again tonight. I hope we do. And the election is the subject of this evening's Talking Points Memo. So a pretty significant poll comes out this morning. Trafalgar, which is an accurate poll. And we've traced Trafalgar back now 2 election cycles, and they've been very, very on it. Okay, so they polled 1,198 likely voters in New York. Now, likely voters is the category that matters the most. Okay, but listen to the affiliation here, and this is where we go, and nobody else does this. But it's very important. So Trafalgar samples 54% Democrat, 28% Republican, 19% other independent. Why? Because that's the voter registration in New York, 2-1 Democrat. So that's what they did, which is an honest play. It's not a social issue here. This is a party issue. Who are you going to vote for? You ready for the results of this poll? Zeldin, 48.4%. Hochul, 47.6%. Wow. Undecided 4. And the undecided, obviously, in that kind of a close race will make the difference, but the trend is in play. And I started this about middle of September, saying, look, Hochul's got a chance here in New York because things are so bad. I live here. I know how bad it is. All right. I know. I'm involved. And now Hochul has passed her in the Trafalgar poll. Now, the same agency, Trafalgar, goes to Michigan. I'm sorry, no, I just made a mistake. Another polling agency goes to Michigan, American Greatness Insider Advantage. This is not such a reliable poll. But it's got 500 likely Michigan voters. And it's got the governor's race. Whitmer, 45. Tudor-Dixon, 45. Dead heat. Now, Dixon was way back. I don't know that much about Michigan. All right, I know Whitmer is an ardent liberal. I know Dixon is relatively inexperienced, but I can't give you a certainty that I can give you in New York. And this poll is not nearly at the level of Trafalgar. But it does show the red wave that is building. Now, yesterday we reported on the New York Times Siena poll, which had Democrats just doing great all over the place. That's my lead story on Wednesday, whether this New York Times Siena poll is close. And we're watching them. Okay, let's talk about Arizona. So there's a guy running in the gubernatorial race named Mark Victor, and he is a libertarian. So it's Victor against Masters, Republican, and Mark Kelly. This is a Senate race. That's 2 mistakes I've made in 4 minutes. I apologize. This is the Senate race. Victor, Libertarian, Masters, the Republican, Mark Kelly, the Democrat. So Victor quits, pulls out today, and says, vote for Masters. We did some analysis. Victor's only polling about 4%. The aggregate is about 4. Okay? If those people like him a lot and he says to vote for Masters, that might be enough to beat Kelly. I've always said in Arizona, it's hard because Kelly's personally popular. So like Hochul, nobody in New York. There's nobody goes, oh, Kathy Hochul, I want to go out to breakfast with her. No. But Kelly's popular, former astronaut, so that matters. But now the Republicans have an advantage a little bit, I think, in Arizona. In Georgia, it's simply insane. But here's the bottom line on Georgia. No one is going to get over 50%, so no one will win a week from today. All right, so you've got Warnock, the Democrat, Walker, the Republican. In order to win the election outright in Georgia because of their state law, they have to get more than 50% of the vote. Neither will. So it doesn't really matter, who beats who if it's that close. So expect a runoff. But, if Walker gets 49.5 and Darden gets 43, then you'd have that. Now, here's the essential question after the polling. So I've now annoyed, and I mean that literally, a bunch of my Democrat friends. I'm annoying them now. Usually I don't, because it doesn't matter to me whether you're Republican or Democrat. I don't care if you're a mugwump. Look it up. But now I'm going, things are so bad. 79% of the people, according to a CBS poll, say the country's out of control under Democratic leadership. How can you possibly vote Democrat this time around? And you know what the answer always comes down to? And I bet you know, Trump. They hate him so much, they can't pull a lever for the Republicans. Even though Trump has nothing to do with this election, other than he campaigned for a few candidates. They just hate him. A hatred, political hatred I have never seen. Hillary Clinton was hated, is hated. Nancy Pelosi is hated, okay? But nothing like this. And these are educated people. These are people who are suffering economically, whose investment portfolios are down 30, 35%. They don't care. They become like werewolves. You could see them, their claws coming out when you mention it's Trump. I don't understand. I mean, Trump is annoying, okay, but so is Biden. At least Trump was competent. But nope. And it's all about the election denial and January 6th. It's never, ever going to stop. Ever. And that's why the Democrats are even this close, because of the Trump syndrome. Now today, Chief Justice John Roberts shielded Donald Trump from handing his tax records over to a House committee, the House Ways and Means Committee. This is a big ruling. Okay, so the House Ways and Means Committee wants to get Trump, as they all do. Roberts knows this, and he knows that the Republicans are going to win the House. So he's not going to force Trump to hand over his private IRS records to this Ways and Means Committee, and he blocked it. Okay, and now the Ways and Means Committee has until November 10th to respond. They have to respond in writing. It's not going to be a hearing. So it basically, by that time, the Republicans will be running the House. Now, everybody sits there in the lame duck session until January. But the Democrats, the last moment they're booted out, are going to be trying to get Trump. And Roberts said, you know what? This is too political. I'm going to stay it. A ruling that Trump had to turn him over. So that was big. And that's the memo. Now let's go to President Biden. He's down in Florida. This is another crazy thing. So there's no chance that Charlie Crist beats Ron DeSantis. None. And it was Hurricane Ian that did it, because DeSantis performed well in his job as leader of the state. There's no chance. Yet Biden goes down there to Hallandale Beach in mid-afternoon, and then he goes to Miami later on. to campaign for Chris and raise money for Chris. I guess it's to pay off Chris's debt because the money's not going to matter at this point. And Val Demings is running against Rubio, and there's no way that Val Demings is going to beat Rubio. And Florida has gone red. I mean, solid red now. Remember, third largest state. And DeSantis is going to win in a landslide. Rubio is not going to win as big as DeSantis, but he'll win. And so why is Joe Biden doing this? He's doing it to show that he's still in charge. That's all. This is just purely cosmetic because there's no chance that he changes this around. The latest polling has DeSantis, and this is real clear, average up 12 points over Chris. There's no way, okay? Even the Miami Herald knows it, and they wrote an editorial yesterday because they're very liberal, Miami Herald, and they were just excoriating the Democratic Party. You say, you're the worst party, you're going to let these people win, these people DeSantis, you know. Okay. Kamala Harris. So my message of the day, and I hope you do check in on BillO'Reilly.com each morning to read it. Free, anybody can check in, is about where's Kamala. And then a few hours later, I learned that Kamala did book an event because she hadn't thus far in the campaign with only a week left. Nobody wanted Kamala. She's going to Boston, okay, and she's going there tomorrow. And nobody knows why, because all of the Bostonians running for office are Democrats are going to win because it's not even close because Boston is so left, all right? And we have not found any other event that Harris in the campaign attended. None. So what does that tell you? Okay, you know, my column is on this as well. So Harris is so not liked. It's not a visceral thing with her. It's just like people just don't, they know she can't do the job. They don't want to hear about her. So she's going to Boston, and I joked that it was because of me she's going, but that's not. This was booked ahead of time. If you are stuck in a timeshare and you haven't called Lone Star Transfer yet, what are you waiting for? Lone Star Transfer has helped more than 16,000 happy customers. They are family owned, have a 99% success rate. Their process is done legally, ethically, and quickly. I mean, does it get better than that? The team at Lone Star Transfer will keep you informed every step of the way until you are legally and permanently released from your timeshare. So don't pay another penny for a timeshare you don't use. Get peace of mind today with Lone Star Transfer. They guarantee the release of all liability to your timeshare in writing and in a specific time frame. Give Lone Star Transfer a call for a free no-obligation consultation. 855-551-7066, 855-551-7066, or online at lonestartransfer.com. Let's bring in Doug Schoen. You all know him now. He's one of our ace guests. Democrat, political strategist, follows the election cycle in an honest way. This I did not know. Doug Schoen has a PhD in philosophy from Oxford. That's impressive.
Don't hold it against Bill.
No, listen, I'll hold you the 2 Harvard degrees you have, but I have a Harvard degree.
I know
So
that. I'm aware.
if I have to hold it against you, I have to hold it against me. But
get
PhD from Oxford?
Yeah.
Wow. I could never do that. All right, let's go to
Yes,
Trafalgar, New York. You surprised?
I think New York is within single digits. Bill, I'm not convinced as of yet that Zeldin has closed the sale, but all the data, and you were first in September, and we did it together, as I recollect, you were first in making it clear that this race was going to tighten because of the crime issue, cashless bail, and the like in New York State, and unsustainable taxes and spending policies. So this is an election with a 26% Democratic advantage in registration that will go down to the wire.
And Trafalgar took that into consideration.
Yes, they did.
So, Zeldin leads by one, and that's within the margin of error. So you're right.
That's what
I mean,
that's what I'm saying.
right. It's not a lockdown for. But look, in the last week, Hochul has made two astronomical mistakes. Number one, in the debate, turning to Zeldin, going, "Why do you care that these people are in jail?
Yeah.
People are hurting thousands." And then she says that this crime, whole thing, is a Republican conspiracy. I mean, even the dimmest among us, Doug, you gotta go, what? So
Yeah.
I'm sticking to my
Zeldin missed
opinion.
one opportunity, Bill, when she said, "Why do you care?" He should have said, "Because I'm a crime victim too, and my kids were almost a crime victim as well. It touches everyone."
Yeah.
He didn't say. That's
No, but
really what people think.
you got to be very quick
Everybody's
on your
different.
feet there. Sometimes you don't think of stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, a Senate race that doesn't get any attention at all is New Hampshire,
Sure.
where we got Maggie Hassan, who's a Biden apparatchik, going against a ex-general, Dan Bolduc. And some polls got Bolduc ahead now. Are you surprised?
I am not entirely surprised. Hassan is not a compelling figure. Bolduc has a very good profile. He's moved to the center since the primary. And it's a state that's always been a swing state. It's not a reliably Democratic state. And the polling I see sees it within the margin of error. So this one also could go either way. But again, the momentum is all with Bolduc.
Yeah, I think he's going to win too. Zeldin in New York, Bolduc in New Hampshire. Patty Murray, the ardent liberal from Washington State, there are polls out there now that say she's in trouble. How do you see that one?
I see her still winning, but again, I see it within 5 points. I think Smiley is the Republican. I think the race is closed to single digits or even tighter than 5 points.
But here's my question. Seattle is such a disaster.
Yeah.
Such a disaster. And that's where all the votes are, in King County, up in the northwest corner of the state. They don't learn anything. These people in Seattle, they're sipping their lattes and they're watching people get gunned down in the streets and drug addicts run wild, and they don't want any change. I mean, because I don't think it's Trump so much in Washington State as it is here in New York. So I'm surprised that Patty Murray, you say she might win.
I think she might, but it's, again, very close. And Washington State is a reliably Democratic state normally. So this is a sea change that we're describing today, Bill, and that you were really among the first to pick up on way back in September when people were talking about not a red wave, but a blue wave.
Well, I never bought that for a second, because it's all about economics. It's always been that way. Yep. People are suffering. And, you can trot out the abortion issue doesn't pale to people's day-to-day finances. Now, this Arizona switch that happened, the guy bailing out and endorsing Masters, that matter?
It matters hugely.
Really?
The race without the Libertarian had been within 2 points, and I think a couple of polls had it even, a couple had Masters down 2. He has come from 10 or 12 points down, and having seen the campaign there, he's running as a loyal Trump conservative, and Mark Kelly is running away from the national party, Joe Biden, and the border policies as fast as he can.
So you see what there?
I think Masters has got a very good shot at winning.
And Lake will probably win, and, when the governor wins, that helps the senatorial candidate.
Which will help Herschel Walker in Georgia.
Right. We'll get to Georgia in a minute. So Barack Obama goes out to Nevada, which is a very hard state to predict.
It is.
I've always said I think Laxalt's got enough to beat the incumbent Democrat, but I don't know that much about the union activities there. And it's always, because it's so Vegas, that's the dominant place.
It is.
Clark County. I do think Laxalt, but it's so close. The polls are so close there.
Polls are close there. They're close in the gubernatorial race in Nevada as well between the incumbent Sisolak and Lombardo. The data that I've seen from the state shows that there is a preference for Republicans there. And again, if I had to predict, I'd bet both Republicans win Nevada, the gubernatorial and senatorial.
Does Obama have way to change minds or to motivate people to go out and vote?
Bill, he didn't have it when he was president. His endorsement has never been a particularly compelling one. He's a compelling speaker, to be sure. He's great on the campaign trail, but I don't think he gets to people's hearts and minds.
All right, so it's the true believers that love him.
Exactly.
They're going to vote Democrat anyway, but he's not going to bring in independents and change minds, in your opinion. And finally, Georgia, I think my prediction there is no one gets 50. Then there's a runoff. I don't know why they do that. It seems a waste of Georgian tax money. But in the latest polling there, Walker is ahead by 1 point or so.
Yeah, and I think if in fact you're right, Bill, and there's every reason to believe you will be, if the Republicans win the Senate, as I think is very, very likely, the Republicans will have momentum going into any runoff that occurs in Georgia. So the Republicans are also unlikely to make the mistake that Donald Trump made in January of 2021 when they had mixed messages about the 2 seats that were up in the 2020 election.
Yeah, I don't think we're going to be seeing Donald Trump in Georgia.
We're not going to see Trump in Georgia.
Any race I've left out? Do you think Whitmer is going to fight off this challenge?
You know,
in Michigan?
Whitmer is outspending Tudor Dixon by about 10 to 1. So I say she's a narrow favorite. That's the sense I have from the polls I've seen. But I wouldn't be surprised if she lost. If we get the kind of red wave that I think is possible, and we've discussed, every marginal Democrat, like 1980, for those of us old enough to remember it, will fall. That could well happen. Democrats I'm talking to now privately understand that they are at risk across the board, no matter where they are.
Well, I hope you can join us Wednesday after the vote. We'll go over all of this, and we really appreciate it, Doug. Very nice of you to help us out, as always.
It's always a pleasure.
Okay. Listen to this. Convicted home title thief explaining what happens after he forges your home's title and takes over as the new owner.
Nobody thinks that I can take their house and borrow against the house. Oh no, I have title insurance. It's in my name, or he would have to get some special document. They would call me. You know, nobody's calling you. After I've stolen the title, borrowed against it, or sold the property, it's 60 to 90 days for that person to even figure out that they're the victim of this crime. You start getting foreclosure notices. You've got 4 mortgages on your house. You don't even own your home anymore. It's not even in your name.
Home title fraud is growing 2.5 times faster than credit card fraud, if you can believe it. You could be a victim and not even know it. Here's how to protect yourself and verify your home's title is still in your name. Please visit HometitleLock.com, promo code RADIO. Then register your address for your no-obligation home title report, a $100 value free. Again, get your free home title report at HometitleLock.com, promo code RADIO. Okay, here is the final thought of the day. Here are the 2 worst things, blunders, that have happened in the campaign so far. Roll number 1.
Yes, our economy is strong as hell. The internal. Inflation is worldwide, worse off everywhere else than it is in the United States. So the problem is the lack of economic growth and sound policy in other countries, not so much ours. And that's having worldwide inflation. That's consequential.
Yeah, it's other countries, their fault. And here is number 2 blunder. Go.
This governor, who still, to this moment, we're halfway through the debate, she still hasn't talked about locking up anyone committing any crimes.
Okay.
Anyone who commits a crime under our laws, especially with the change they made to bail, has consequences. I don't know why that's so important.
All right, sealed her doom, in my opinion, with that one. There may be thousands of people dead in the streets in New York State. That could be important, right? Anyway, we are rolling this week. We hope you are enjoying the No Spin News. We will see you again tomorrow. Inflation at its highest level in 40 years. Interest rates skyrocketing. We all know that. Market experts like Jamie Dimon, CEO of JP Morgan, not only predict a recession, but are using scary terms like economic hurricane and unprecedented. So, you need to call the only precious metal dealer I trust, American Hartford Gold. They will show you how to protect your savings and retirement accounts by diversifying your portfolio with physical gold and silver. Please call them today, and they will have physical gold and silver delivered right to your door or put inside your IRA or 401k. They have thousands of satisfied customers, are the highest rated firm in the country with an A+ rating from the Better Business Bureau. Tell them Bill O'Reilly sent you, and they'll give you up to $2,500 of free silver on your first order. Please call 866-501-5201, 866-501-5201, or text BILL to 65532. Again, 866-501-5201 or text BILL to 65532.